Maybe because I had my charger plugged in, but there's still no reason for it to sound like that. I'm saying sound like that, like I could hear how the audio sound. Oh, you know what I could do? One second. I wasn't thinking. I could go right on YouTube on my TV. Wait 1 second. So that way I could see how I sound. Oh, okay. So that my intuition was like, girl, unplug the charger. I don't know why I made a difference. But anywho, so um the year was, let me give you guys a backstory. Okay. So I was in this all girls home, okay, in Chester, New Jersey. And I had went there because I was a rebel. Okay. I did not care for authority. I didn't want people telling me what to do. And I was young and I just did not care for authority. And many of you guys know that my father had raised me, right? Like he pretty much had custody of me when I was a kid. So up into the age of 5, my father had custody of me. After that, Highlanders, peace here, baby, peace here. So, my father had custody up until I was like 5 years old, right? There was like issues with my mother and my father, like it was issues and stuff like that. And I remember when I was a kid, my aunt, who later on had custody of me, I remember I had seen her in the supermarket, and I had to be like really young, and I don't really remember this. I remember like a little bit of it, but I don't remember a lot of it. And I was in the supermarket with my father, and my aunt, like later on, she was saying like how like I didn't look like clean and stuff like that. Stuff like that. Um, she just was saying, I guess, like the way I was being brought up, it wasn't like suitable for children. Okay. Like my father, and I am, when it comes to like a father's girl or a daddy's girl, whatever, like in my eyes, my father could have not done nothing wrong, okay, when I was a kid. And I was really, really close to my father. So I remember my aunt, I think somebody from my mother's side had picked me up. It was for Easter. And they told my father, like, oh, we gonna take them out. My sister and I, we gonna take them out and stuff like that, and we gonna bring them back. And then that didn't happen. So I didn't get brought back to my father's house. And so my father wound up calling, I believe he called the cops and stuff. So long story short, with this part, um, it was an investigation, like with DIFAS and stuff like that. DIFAS entered the picture, and then I was wound up being taken away from my father, and then going in like a group home. First it was just a regular, not a group home. It was just like a regular foster home. And the lady who had custody of me, I mean, she was so, so sweet, really, really kind. But, you know, when you're a kid and you coming from a certain environment, right? You may feel like subconsciously like you don't deserve that. Like you may feel like you don't deserve um something better, right, than what you've been exposed to. So later on, I had ran away from the lady. Okay. I had seen one of my father's girlfriends, who my father didn't live too far from the lady, probably about like 15 minutes from, walking distance. 15 to 20 minutes walking distance. Not even 20, I would say 15. And so I seen my father's girlfriend, and I went with my father's girlfriend. And when I went with her, the lady, she was pretty much looking for us. The lady who had custody of my sister and I, she was looking for us and she couldn't find us nowhere. So she wound up calling the cops and stuff like that and getting DIFES involved. Well, DIFES was already involved. But she wound up calling the cops and stuff. So after she had called the cops and everything like that, I never forget that night we had went back to her house, and she was like so disappointed because she just didn't understand, like, why would we have ran away, my sister and I. She didn't get it, and it wasn't nothing it wasn't like nothing against her. It was just that, I seen my father's girlfriend, and I was, my father, I loved my father, right? Well, my father passed on now, but I loved my father. And I just wanted to go back. Living with my father, it was no supervision. Okay. All right. Many of you guys who grew up like in the 80s, whatever, you knew it was, honey, 70s, 80s, no supervision. Okay. Maybe some of you guys had supervision, but honey, for the most of us, no supervision. You roam the street, you play in the parks, whatever, you be out pretty much all day. And so that was pretty much like up until like I was 5. So later on, after I was in a group home, because after the lady had called cops and DIFES, they pretty much was, I guess, asked the lady, like, did she still want to keep us? And she was just like so heartbroken. And so they moved us, my sister and I, they moved us in a group home. So we stayed in a group home and stuff like that. And then later on, my aunt, she had got custody of me, my mother's sister. Well, that was another issue because then, it was rules, right? And I wasn't used to rules like that. Pretty much living with my father, you could pretty much do whatever it is that you wanted. And I wasn't used to structure. I wasn't used to like all those rules and stuff like that, strictness. I wasn't used to any of that. And I know some of you guys like, what they got to do with the whole, honey, I'm getting to this story. I just want to give you a background on things, okay? So, um, I went to go stay with my aunt and her husband and my cousins. Okay. But then later on, I seen my father again, right? It wasn't really like that much contact with my father, like after DIFES got involved and everything like that. It wasn't that much contact and stuff. And I remember the lady, it was a lady that my father he was going with. And that lady, she pretty much lived where my family lived, like in the projects. And so I ran away from, I was supposed to come home from school, but honey, I wound up running away, going to my father's house because I wanted the freedom. I wanted to be able to do whatever it was that I wanted to do. It was like, once you get a taste of that, like, as a kid, able to do whatever it is that you want to do, and then somebody now is saying, oh, well, these are the rules. Like a kid won't really necessarily understand it, especially if mainly all they life they was able to do pretty much everything they wanted to do with no guidance, no supervision, no structure, anything like that. Now, after that, I went to go stay with my father. Well, I ran away, and then my father. What happened was, he had hired these lawyers. He always had like lawyers, like, but he had hired these lawyers. So pretty much he could get custody of me again. So my father had wound up getting custody of me back. And it was the same exact thing like before. No supervision. Pretty much you could do whatever it is that you wanted to do, whatever. And so it was instruction. Like it really was instruction. And I love my father, and I know he did the best thing he knew how to do, but it wasn't really no structure. Okay. Um and I remember one day I had asked this kid, because it was like it wasn't really nothing in the house to eat. Like it was like I think like chicken breast or something, but I didn't really want that. So it was a kid down the projects. He was like a little older than me. And I asked him like, did he have I was like, let me get $5, right? And he was like, I don't have $5, but I have this. And this was something that you could go away for. Okay, if you know what I mean. And so I started getting into doing things like criminal activity and stuff like that. um Pharmaceuticals, if you know, you know. And so when I was away, right, my father had passed away. And like after he passed away, I didn't have any, the family members was pretty much like, oh, she was like, out in the streets and into pharmaceuticals and stuff like that. So my family was like, they wasn't gonna put up with that. Like they didn't know who I was involved with. So they was like, we're not gonna take her, whatever it was. So then the state was already in on the case. But then after that rather, I had my brother and sister mother had got custody of me. My brother and sister from my father's side, they mother and her husband wound up getting custody of me. Um, but I had to go, like I was in this program in Chester, New Jersey. And oh my goodness. And that's why I always say, like, a lot of things in our lives at times, like especially when we children, we don't understand like why we had to go through certain things. But a lot of it is, ooh, what the hell? Wait, hold on, honey. It was like a little white bug. What the hell? Um, but a lot of us, like, we go through certain things, and when we children, and we don't understand like why we gotta go through certain things, right? And so what wound up happening was my brother and sister mother had got custody of me. So I'm staying in Chester, graduated the program. It was an all girls home, graduated from there. And after I had graduated from there, my sister had hooked me up with this guy, right? And oh my goodness, I was so in love with him. Oh, child, you honey, you couldn't tell me nothing, okay? I was like really, really, and he was like older than me, like I mean, like older than me. In fact, and honey, don't lie about your age, okay? But I had lied about my age and everything like that. And I started talking to him. Um, and I would come home on the weekends, right? Like furloughs and stuff like that. That's what they call it, furloughs. And I would come home on the weekends. And like me and him, we got in a relationship and everything. And when I would come home on the weekends, he was always available. But once I had graduated from the program, right? Like the all girls home and stuff like that, I noticed like it was different. he wasn't like so much always available. Like it would be times where so I call him, he wouldn't answer, or at times like I'm looking for him, he won't be found. He'd be like gone a day, a whole day, whatever it was. Um and I didn't hear anything from him. So that was like kind of weird. And I didn't know that he was like, I mean, on something, like smoking wise. Like I didn't know none of this until like later on. But anyway, so one day, I had like I was itchy. One day I was itchy, right? And I I was so like I was really naive, okay. Thinking like, oh well, he wouldn't mess around and stuff like that on me and all this other stuff. Here he would be MIA, honey, at times. And I was itchy, and come to find out, honey, I had crabs. Child, oh lordy. Oh my goodness. And he was the only dude that I was messing with at that time. And so I confronted him. You know when you confront somebody, if this never happened to you, honey, you're lucky. Okay. But if it did, and if you messing with a cheater, all right, they gonna lie and they gonna try to flip the script and try to say that you the one who was messing around, or you the one who was, brought the crabs or whatever in the relation, whatever. And I remember one day, you know, we, honey, I hope no kids is on here, but one day we got finished, right? And I seen something on him, like a crab. And I was like, oh my goodness, you lied, right? Like, meanwhile, I knew he was lying, okay, because I knew he the one who gave it. And I said, what the fuck? And I was like, you got something on you. And he was like, no, there's nothing. And oh my goodness. Like just going back there, thinking about how, I was a little gullible and naive. And I remember we had went, because I was like, oh no, like, so we went to Walgreens, got the shampoo and stuff like that. Because he tried, even though I seen it on him, he tried to act like it wasn't there. He tried to act like that he was shocked. Like he didn't see this. Honey, I ain't gonna tell you. I still messed with him after that. Okay, I still messed with him. And when I was younger, right, we hear a lot. If you guys have listened to Sigmund Freud, or Carl Jung, right? But mainly Sigmund Freud. One of the things he says is like we look for the relationship, like in our partners, that we like we want a relationship like something like with our parents or something like that. But oftentimes we tend to look for people who were just like our parents, right? Subconsciously you doing this. And my father, was a womanizer. Okay, so he was a womanizer. He was very, very sweet. And I know for some of you guys, you're like, sweet. Even though he was a womanizer, he still was sweet. Like, I mean, funny, very charming. That's maybe why he had the ladies. You get where I'm going with this, okay? And I remember one day, okay, I knew he was cheating. I just knew he was cheating. I got a little older because me and him was together, I think like 3 or 4 years. And I wisened up a little, and I knew you could always tell, like if you with somebody, you could always tell if they messing around. Like your intuition, like it's something, like it's like a knowingness. You may try to push it away or whatever, or try not to acknowledge it, but it's like a knowingness, right? And I remember, like I knew he was messing around. I was still in high school. He was much older. Okay. I'm not gonna say how old, but honey, he was older. Okay. He was one of those, one of those dope boys. Okay. But I remember, I'm in high school. I think this was was it my sophomore year? Or, well, I feel like something got done. I done got this darn powder, honey. I think I forgot the name of it. How you pronounce it? Start with a D. Oh my goodness. Any type of bugs, ants, anything, flea, anything. Okay, honey. Because I seen the white bug, and I'm like one of those. If I see any bugs, honey, they gotta go. Okay, but so let me get back to it. Shoot. So anywho. So I'm in high school and I'm on a track team, and I never forgot. I knew he was cheating because he did like a MIA. And it was this guy that I was like really, really close with. And I was like, I need you to take me to, the dude who I was messing with. I was like, I need this guy that I was really, let's just call the guy who I'm really close with. Let's just call him Charles. Okay. So I told Charles, I was like, I need you, honey. If I see something, it's this powder that I get from Amazon. It's like a D word, D-I. It's a real long word. But it's like fossil, like fossil or something. And whatever bug gets on it, honey, it just tears them up. Okay, they just die. And honey, I have the paddle all over here, or everywhere. Okay, everywhere, like to the point my children there say, you got that powder everywhere. Yeah, because I don't like all right. So anyway, so I told Charles to take me to Larry house. Larry sounds like such an old person, right? Like a old person's name. But anyway, I told Charles, I said, Charles, I know this dude is cheating. I need you to take me to Larry house, right? And Charles was with it. Like you would have thought that it was something in it for Charles, but he was with it. Okay. So the time came. Okay. I never forget. I was sitting on the sofa and I told Charles, I was like, listen, you gonna take me to, Larry house? And he was like, yeah, let me know when you're ready. Honey, I was ready. And it was something in my gut. Like I already knew he was messing around. Like I knew it. But sometimes we feel like I gotta see it for myself. You don't gotta see it for yourself, honey. You don't have to see it for yourself. That gut feeling that you have, that's more than enough. But a lot of times we like, I need to see it. And what we do, you need to see it so you can confront them so they could lie. Okay. And when they lie and telling you all this stuff, right? Then it's a possibility that you probably believe it, be gullible, naive, because you're so desperate to be wanting to be in a relationship. So you just accept it and believe the lies because you are more so focused on the potential as opposed to the reality of the situation. And so Me and him. So Charles, I never forgot. Charles had this red car. The windows was tinted. Nobody could see in the car. And we got to Larry's house. Now, Larry lived with his mama and his brothers and his sister. And so I go and I'm knocking on the door, right? On Larry's mother's door. Nobody answered the door. So I'm like, that's weird, because I knew his mother was in there, but nobody answered. So I was like, what the heck? Well, and I'm calling Larry's phone. The phone, it just ring, ring, ring. I'm calling the house phone. It just ring. Honey, I was like a crazy person that night. Okay. So I remember I had came downstairs and I had seen Larry's brother. And I was like, hey, where your brother? And his brother was like, oh, I ain't even see him. And I was like, you ain't see your brother all day? And he was like, no. So already, I started feeling like he lying. He lying. He's up to something. So I went back upstairs and knocked on the door some more. Nobody answers the door. So I came downstairs again. Now, Larry's brother was with this girl. Now, Larry's brother was cheating on his girlfriend too. So I knocked on your mother's door. Ain't nobody answering. So the girl said, Larry's brother, okay, the girl who Larry's brother was with, she says, oh, you looking for Larry? I was like, yeah. She was like, girl, I know where he at. I said, oh, you do? She said, girl, yeah, come with me. Girl, let me tell you, if seeing red when your heart start beating quick, because it's about to go down. Oh, honey, it was about to go down. So she said, I know exactly where Larry at. Oh, you do? Where Larry at? She said, he's right up Stacy's house. I said, Stacy's house. Now, Stacy lived in the same building. Okay. She said, yeah, he at Stacy's house. So I said, Stacy, in my mind, it didn't click. Like, I knew he was messing around, but it still didn't click like, oh, he messing with Stacy. But I said, what? At Stacy? What are you doing at Stacy's house? So she was like, I'm going to bring you up there. And honey, she did. She knocked on that door. Okay. Now, this girl, she was friends with Stacy. She knocked on the door. And honey, she said, honey, put a 2 in the chat if you want me to finish the story. Put a 2 in here, honey, because it's already what time? 12:45. I need some engagement going on up in here. Okay. If you want me to finish this story, put a 2. Put a 2 in the chat, honey. Put it to set the algorithm off, honey. We need to set the algorithm off, all right? Put it to, I'll wait until you guys, the story may be a little juicy. It may be a little juicy like a steak, but honey, I need some interaction. Put it to in the chat, okay? I'll wait until you guys put a 2 in here. Come on, put it 2. Come on, honey. Once I see that first 2, I get to talking more. Come on now, don't, honey. Come on now. What time is it? Oh, it's almost 1 o'clock. I guess you guys don't want to hear the rest. I guess you don't want to hear the rest of the story, honey, because it gets really good. It gets really good after this. Let me wrench this icy thing out. Here I was in the kitchen about to eat some ice cream and totally forgot that the other day when me and my youngest son was in Walmart, he had brought a whole big bag of ices. And it's so funny because at first I was like, don't get those ices. It was with his money. And I was like, don't get those ices. And he was like, no, I want to get these. I want to get these for the house. And honey, I was munching and crunching on those ices. All right. Well, honey, it's been real. You guys ain't put that too in the chat. Oh, honey. Wait, hold on. Yeah, Tracy, I couldn't see it. See the two. So, anywho, so she knocked on the door, right? She knocked on now. Stacy's homegirl, supposedly her friend, knocks on the door. Stacy says who? The homegirl says her name, right? And oh, it was on, honey. It was on and popping. It was on like Donkey Kong. It was on and popping like popcorn. It was on from that point. So Stacy comes to the door and he's right there. Chill. Larry was right there, okay? Pulling his pants up. I said, now what in the hell is going on up in here? So I just seen red, black, blue. Okay, red, black, blue, yellow. I was like the Transformers. Okay, I just transformed that night. Okay, and I said, what you do? If Lost It was a person, okay, it would have had my name next to it. I said, what the hell you doing? And he knew it was about to go down. And he was like kind of a little, he was, you know, when somebody like a little calm, but they a little scared, they kind of scared. Cause they know it's finna go down. Cause they picked the right one. So I said, what the hell you was doing? And he was like, he said the stupidest thing. He was like, oh, we was counting money. I don't know why he said that. Okay. Now, he was one of those into pharmaceuticals. Okay. I said, counting money with your pants down? Chill. I just see red, black, blue, yellow, pink. I seen all the darn colors. Okay. So, oh my goodness. I can't tell you all what I did. Okay. And this is just entertainment purposes. Okay. And then after that, and this is the part I want to focus on. I want to on and on. Okay, this is how you know you're gonna go back to that situation. Because even after I did all the, now the right thing to do was just to leave. Okay, just to leave. Like if you done with the person when you just leave them, when you just walk away. But if you arguing with them, right? So they could, it's like you want them to convince you that they're not doing this, or you want them like to pretty much fight for your love, like all this crazy stuff. But when I was going back and forth with him, and when I was like putting him in the chokehold, okay. Now that was the old version of me, the old, the old version of me, okay. When I was doing those things, in his mind, as a man, he felt like she gonna go right back with me because she put in too much energy into this. And this is the part you want to understand. Be willing to walk away. But I was young. I'm trying to see how old was I. I was young. And I remember he was like, he just young, looking for like my father's love in men, and just accepting the lies. And I remember he was like, after that night, I'm not gonna tell you I went to the hotel with him the same night. Like after all of that, right? After all of that, and he was just a lion. And I never forgot. I remember one day, now after I done we caught him, you might as well say I caught him in the act. I mean, I didn't catch him directly in the act, but honey, he was pulling his pants up. That was enough. But after all of that, I remember, now here I am, I'm in high school, soon to graduate. And he's like one of those boys that's, on a corner. And then a girl, she pretty much, she wasn't doing too much. I don't think she was in school or anything. Because she was like around my age too. But, or probably like 2 years older than me. And it's so crazy because I would see, and it was so, oh my goodness, it was so, that's why when people say that they don't know, they didn't see the red flags, I'm always like, yes, you did. You seen the red flags, honey. You heard people say stuff, but you was so naive and wanting a relationship that you just disregarded all of it. You disregarded it because you wanted a relationship so bad. I remember one day, and now I'm thinking about this. I remember one day I had went around his house. And that was another thing, like if you always gotta go to the boy house, that to me that's a red flag. Why you always gotta go to his house? He should be coming to your house. But and then again, his mother was like really lenient, pretty much whatever. So I remember I went around to his house, and it was a older dude that would talk to him. And the older dude was like, I want to be a player. No, he said, I think he said like, show me how to be a player or something like that, like trying to be funny. And I didn't pick up on it like at that time. I just was like, I thought I was so in love. And I used to speak to the girl. I used to speak to her. Like she would see me like when I would come in the building because she lived right upstairs. And I would come in the building and I would be like, hey, Stacy. And she would be like, hey, or if she see me, she'd say, hey, Dina, not even knowing that they was messing around. Not even knowing. And then I remember this one day again, I had came out of school and I think they was walking or something together. And I was like, you still doing it. I don't know why I thought he was going to change. Like, sometimes we think like us staying in a situation or staying in that relationship, we think like, oh, well, they gonna change and stuff like that. Honey, first of all, the person is not finna change, especially if you done took them back and it was no consequences whatsoever. That's one. Two, if you don't have the guts to walk away from this person, from these people, okay, then the guy, if they know if you will walk away or if you just performing lip service, like you ain't gonna do too much of anything, they ain't gonna, they gonna keep on doing the same thing. And he sure kept doing the same exact thing. But then later on, he got incarcerated. And when he got locked up, okay, I remember he had like I was staying with his mother. And I remember I had his sister. His sister would get on the phone. This was a little crazy. His sister, she would get on the phone, like if the mother was on the phone talking to her sister, Larry's sister would get on the phone and eavesdrop like their mother whole conversation, and she kept on doing it. And I remember one day I sort of blackmailed her, and I said, "Listen, if you don't tell me if Stacy is this dude, he was really bold. I'm living with his mother, and he's still having a girl who he was messing with. He's still having Stacy come visit him while he was away. And I was going to visit him, and I remember one day he was like, oh, like don't come on this day or whatever it is like that. And I just was like, that didn't make sense. If a dude or something, if anybody is away, they want you to come visit them. And he was like, oh, don't come on this day, whatever. And I'm like, oh. But then later on, I blackmailed his sister. I said, listen, if you don't tell me if Stacy is going to see your brother, I'm going to tell your mother that you be eavesdropping on her phone calls, and you're going to get it. I said, and you're going to get it. And she was like, all right, I'll tell you. And she told me that Stacy still was going to see him. And I said, oh, okay. And it was so funny because let me tell you about manifestation, right? And I tell you guys all the time, like we manifest each and every day. But it's so funny because I remember I had seen his brother one day, and Larry, he was still away, it probably was like 4 years he was, still away. Like he was gone 4 years. And I remember I seen his brother, and his brother was like, oh, Larry about to come home. And I was like, I'll be married. Honey, I was in dating at that time. Didn't know who the heck I would be married to. But I just said that. I just was like, boy, I'll be married by then. That's why you got to be mindful of what you said. And when he came home, I was married. And it was so funny. It was so weird. Because I remember it would be times he would keep calling me and stuff like that. And it was times where I had to block him. Oh my goodness, it was like a whole thing. But yeah, that's my story. The time he gave me crap. Yeah. Mm-hmm. And then tried to act like he didn't have them. Although I think child, I can't make this up. I can't make this up to save my life. Okay. All right. Now, doll faces is 1:00. I gotta get up, I think like 7:00 in the morning, so I could go to these Dollar Trees. Make sure you guys are catching up on the Dollar Tree horse. Oh my goodness. If somebody is saying Dollar Tree is not delivering, Now, if the products are good, they good. I'm sure gonna say it. And if they're not, then I'm gonna say it. But these products lately, oh my goodness, they've been delivering. So I gotta go to the Dollar Tree tomorrow, which I went to that Dollar Tree yesterday. It's so crazy. I went there yesterday. Yesterday I did 5 Dollar Tree hauls, right? And I got to the very last Dollar Tree haul and I had took the train. So when you put like a big bill or a bigger than what the fare of the train, the machine gives you back all these dollar bill pieces, right? Like these gold coins. So I'm in Dollar Tree. They got Maybelline makeup. Okay. They had all this new stuff. And I bring my items to the register. I just knew I was getting it. I just knew. I was like, and I put all the stuff up there. Well, it wasn't a lot of stuff, but it was a few items. And the lady was like, now mind you, I just came from a previous Dollar Tree and they took the coins no problem. This lady, she was like, oh, we don't take those. And I was like, why? I was like, these are dollars. And she was like, oh, because something with the machine, like when Dollar Tree go to deposit the money or something like that, the machine don't know how to count the dollar coins. I'm like, then y'all need to get it. Then the machine needs to be replaced by another machine. But honey, she wasn't hearing it. And I guess because at first I was like, I don't know why I was tripping over words. I guess because, honey, I done did 5 Dollar Tree wars. I was tripping over words. When you don't sound confident in what you saying, people could read through that. And honey, if they was gonna take it, they ain't gonna take it now because they looking at you like, and that's sure how she was looking at me. So tomorrow I gotta go back there. And I got the video up and I got the video in my phone. I just gotta edit it. But I wanted to try the Maybelline makeup. I could not believe they had Maybelline makeup. I was like a kid in a candy store yesterday when I went to Dollar Tree. Oh my goodness. So many new finds. So amazing. With that being said, I can't even see y'all comments. Okay, I don't know what's going on with this. I can't even see your comments. But anywho, with that being said, I love you guys. Check out the Dollar Tree hauls. Tomorrow, I said I was gonna do 3 Dollar Tree hauls tomorrow, but I think I'm gonna do one. I think I'm gonna do 1 Dollar Tree haul tomorrow, and that's the one that's gonna be a continuation from yesterday. I'm just gonna go there, I think, just to get the Maybelline makeup and stuff. So, with that being said, I love you, good folks. Rock out, believe in yourself, keep going, keep growing. Thanks, Tracy. Honey, you sure coming through with those text messages. I'll catch you guys tomorrow. Make sure you are believing in yourself and know whatever it is that you desire for your life, it is possible. If it's possible for one, it's possible for many. And with that being said, peace.